Okay, go. Sarah, you're the drummer. Go.
And welcome to Revive the Scene with E&J. My name is Ernesto.
My name is James.
And we want to thank you all for listening, downloading the show, and don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets. Share us with all your friends. Keep on listening to all the episodes, and thank you for your support. If you would like to be part of the show and would like our music, actually your music, to be on the monthly playlist, send us an email to revivethesceneshow@gmail.com. And now, without further ado, we want to welcome to the show Lechuza.
Oh, thank you so much.
How are you all doing today?
Great. How are you?
Doing excellent. How's everything going?
Good. We just practiced. We've got a couple shows coming up here pretty soon. So, yeah, things are good.
Yeah, you actually got one coming up on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday during
Wednesday
the day.
the 18th. And, we'll be down at ABGB, which is a great place down on Old Wharf, just off Lamar there. And it's 4 bands. Well, we're hoping 4 bands now that South by is all out of whack. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
But right now we're hoping it's going to be 4 female or female fronted bands. It's us at 4 o'clock for sure, and then Thumb on the Sleeves at 5 out of Nashville. So we're excited.
Right on.
That's cool. So everybody knows we got 3 members of Hero Lechuza. It's Amanda that plays the guitar, Michelle that plays bass, and Sarah that plays the drums.
Yes.
Awesome. So first, I want to start actually just saying congratulations on the new album.
Thank you so much.
Came out in
Thank
January. The album Bad Luck Child. It's
Yeah.
all everywhere around that you can find them. I guess it's Spotify. And
Oh, yeah.
all the stuff everywhere on the net.
Yes.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. So how was the process of recording that? Because I heard it and I listened to it and I had a good time listening.
Oh, well,
And
thank
so,
you.
Yeah, so
We appreciate that.
how did it all go?
Really well. I think that's kind of what we wanted to convey was a really good time through our music. And so we had 5 songs, and we found a studio down in South Austin that ran us a really great deal, and Studio NAF. And we got it done in one day as far as the recording. I went back and did some solo parts, and I think I re-sang a song maybe. But we did all that in one day, and Michelle over here has a lot of audio experience and whatnot, so she did the mastering, and we're really proud of it. You know,
That's
really
pretty good. It sounds great. It sounds great. And I listened to it a few times, and I mean, it was really good. I got a really good vibe on it. I was actually talking to James about it, saying that it reminded me of all like a good old not like pop punk or anything like that. It's like just a good old punk rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like actual punk rock.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I listen
old
to.
school.
Yeah.
But and gritty.
Thank you. No, thank you. We appreciate that. I always just call us a rock and roll band. You know, we definitely have a lot of punk influence, and Sarah over here is a big doom metal and whatnot fan.
Awesome.
So we all bring something different to the table, and I think combined we are just a rock and roll band that's looking for a good time.
And that's exactly what the album sounds like.
All
So
right,
yeah,
awesome,
so it
awesome.
was really
Mission
good.
accomplished.
Yeah, it was really good. So how do you go about like recording that? Like, hey, I have a song that you called everybody else and say, hey, this is my song. Shall we go about it, or is it like a one person say, this is how I want everything done? Like how everything goes about it?
So I'm the songwriter. All the songs are my lyrics, and so I come up with an idea, and we, not that it's ever fully thought out, but we get together and we make it happen, together as a band. I come up with the lyrics, but I cannot play drums, so Sarah has to work her magic, and Michelle is playing bass and bringing so much to the low end that it's just, we make it happen as a team.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I do gotta say, you can actually see it on stage. Because I've seen you a couple of times. One at Kickbutt, I forgot what the other was. But you can tell like everybody has their own personality, but together come back around. Like I see you play the guitar, and it's like, you're cool. You're kind of grooving around, and then I see Sarah, and it's like an explosion back there,
Right.
like hair flying everywhere, and everything's
Absolutely.
very good. Which, by all means, as a drummer, I enjoyed it a lot. That's pretty cool. but then I see Michelle, like she's into it. Like you can tell, like her brain is like
Right.
moving all the parts, and it's like so into the groove, and it's like wow, like. If you put each one of you by yourself, it would not make sense. But if you put them all together,
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
this band, like, it sounds really cool. So, no, it was a pleasure to listen to. It was pretty cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's cool. So, one thing that when I was reading about is like, it never said where Lechuza got established, or I guess where Lechuza started. So, when did you all start? When was it like the year? I guess not the year, but when did it all come together?
It's been a couple of years ago now. I was in a band. It fell apart. I was very sad, very depressed. It was a very dark time. And then, of course, what do? You get on Craigslist. And so Sarah had an ad, and it said, drummer looking for female musicians. Didn't even say if, Sarah was a woman or not. And so I sent her a message. Turned out she is. And we started playing together. And I don't know, we had a good thing going right off the bat, I feel like, on the same page and having a really good time. And so... yeah, that's been a couple years ago. We had a bass player for a while. That didn't work out. And so Pablo from Worm Suicide, I had posted something on Facebook about it, and he had tagged Michelle. And that's how we, were lucky enough. Yeah, lucky enough to find Michelle because she's absolutely wonderful.
And
Just
we knew
brought so
the
much.
first practice, we're like, that's a girl. We don't need to try out anybody else.
Well, the first practice, what I said was, she's too good for us. And Sarah goes, don't tell her that. So here we are, and it's been, at least a year with you, right?
Coming up on a year.
Yeah.
I think
So, it's like, I'm stoked.
That's very cool. So,
Yeah,
but by that time,
from-
like, what were you doing? Because I know you have another band. I don't know if that was going at the time.
Yeah,
or-
well, I mean, like a few years ago, I was doing kind of like 3 bands simultaneously, and then over time, I dropped down to one. I was really doing 2 simultaneously, and one I was just kind of brought in for touring with them. And then I eventually cut it down to 1, and I wasn't really considering anything different. I've been, playing with my other band, Sword of Scoundrels, and whatnot. And but I've done 2 to 3 bands simultaneously before. So all of a sudden, I noticed that I'm tagged on Facebook by Pablo, and hey, looking for a female bass player. Oh, Michelle, so I just said, well, we can talk because I know that I can manage multi things. And then I'm like, hey, how often do you practice and how often do you play? And they're like, we practice on Sundays when we can, which isn't very often, like it's not every Sunday. We practice on Sundays when we can, and we do maybe 1 or 2 shows, a month. And I'm like, okay, you're talking my speed, like I can totally pull that off, I've done more than that. So I was like, okay, a good way to get back into doing something different. And, I, back in the 90s, I'm from Detroit, I played in an all-female band, and I was like, I haven't played in an all-female band since the 90s. This could be kind of fun, So,
What band was that?
we were called Broadzilla.
Broadzilla?
Yeah. And
over there in Detroit? Or?
Yeah, in
Okay.
Detroit. And so I hadn't done that since I left Detroit in the 90s. I decided to move because I don't like winter. And so I thought, okay, well, it might be kind of fun. I mean, it's like a million years later, but it'd be fun to do a all-female thing again. So I was like, sure, yeah, I'm down.
So what brought you to Austin from Detroit?
Winter.
Winter? It's good as
I mean,
ever.
that's really it. I love Detroit. I love my hometown. I cannot stand the weather. So I was like,
it's rough.
I need,
It's rough.
I need somewhere that has the right type of work for me and the right type of weather for me and has like a music scene. So, I mean,
So Austin came home.
Austin came up.
That's good. And Sarah, what's your story, I guess?
Oh, I've been playing music since, I started playing drums when I was about 11. I just kept playing in bands. I was in an all-girl band up in Alaska where I'm from, and that didn't last too long, but I really enjoyed that. And so that kind of inspired me to look for other female musicians to play with when I moved to Austin. So
So you moved to Austin from Alaska?
drove down in an
Again,
RV.
with the weather, because I'm from Oregon, so I know.
Okay.
It's pretty,
Yeah,
man.
I love the weather here.
Yeah.
So you drove an RV all the way over here?
Yep, and I live in my RV now.
Nah, same one?
Yeah, same one.
Awesome.
What?
Still runs.
Somehow. You actually made it?
Yeah, I made it. It broke down once.
That's pretty
There's
cool.
we broke down right in front of a mechanic, so
All right.
Good,
It's
good
like
time, yeah.
best
Got
place
lucky.
ever, huh? So what's the story? Because I gotta hear. We were talking about it. So what's the story with Tink? I gotta hear it now.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, no.
skip over that.
Come
That
on,
is
let's-
my stage name. We'll
Yes,
just
the
leave it
stage
at
name.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. Because I mean, we just got done talking to all the posts, and all of them have a different stage name than what they're already given names. So I figured that's what it was. I figured Tink was your stage
Stage
name,
name.
if you
My
want to
stage
call
name.
it.
Yep.
No, that's pretty cool. No, that's awesome. So, a few years ago, and I'm talking about early 2000s, I was in a band where we had a female singer. Okay, and as I don't know if you'll know, it was Angie from the Beatles. And a lot of the times we got to play, like the really cool shows that we played, it was like girls' night. and it was like all female night and stuff like that. So it's been a while since I have like a lady playing, except for him. Is that still going on? Because I remember, it will drive me nuts when we say, "Oh, you guys are playing in this show." It's like 1,000 people in front of you. It's gonna be all girls night, and we're like, oh, "Okay, yeah, sure, I guess we'll play." You know, but is that the same thing that's going on right now?
That's not the right response. The response is, "Fuck yeah, we want to play."
That is the right response.
Right?
I think it's different because we're all women, so maybe being a dude in a band with a chick, maybe that was weird for you or something. We've done a lot of shows with bands that are all female or female fronted or whatever, and I think it does create a different environment. And it creates a different environment whether you're hanging out like in some kind of backstage area or if you're hanging out with the crowd, because you know that we've played shows where you look out and it's all dudes, and that's fine. I'm going to do the same shit on stage that I do anytime, but I think it creates a different environment for me. I think that not only lyrically. Or is it different? Maybe it just appeals to me differently. I don't know, but it's just a different mood for me. And I've never been in an all-girl band. This is the first time I've ever done this, and so sometimes it's easier to play with dudes because dudes don't really think that much.
Totally true. No, totally true.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't think dudes like really think, and so. I think that with women, we probably overthink sometimes, and so that's it's just so I think it creates a different energy.
That's cool. Yeah, because I mean, it didn't bother me about it. It did. I guess the thing that bothered me was the label. Like,
Right.
It was just like, why do you have to make it like a girls' night? Like when it's like a bunch of bands with dudes, you don't call it dudes' night. You know,
Right,
and
right.
that's the thing. That's the thing that kind of bothered me because I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Angie and like it's fine. And she's a female friend, and I love everything
Right.
about it, but. Why do you have to label it like all girls' night? It's like,
Girl
Well,
power.
I think that if you go to Kick Butt Coffee on any given night, it's dude night.
yes.
So, it was never my intention to be in an all-female band. It just happened, and I answered Sarah's ad, and that was her thing. That was like, I want to play with women, and I was like, okay, sounds good. And so she's brought it up several times when we've played. Like, I want to inspire chicks, whether just to come out to the show or to feel comfortable at a show or to go play music,
Yeah.
whatever. That was like Sarah's thing, and I'm totally all for it. That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
No, I mean,
Like your
that's awesome. I mean, that's cool because like I do have a daughter, and like I did show videos of y'all playing,
Okay.
and like she was like, "Wow, that's so cool," and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so I mean, I do appreciate the whole
Right.
female thing, and I think you guys are doing great.
Oh,
I think,
thanks.
I think
We
you're doing
appreciate
awesome
it.
of it. So
We're
if
having
it-
some fun.
I don't know if there's anything we can do to help out and move the cost along. I mean, we'll be more than glad to do it as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they don't need our help.
they're doing fine on their own.
Well, I think in Austin we don't, and
Right.
that's really, really awesome to be a part of that, because I could sit here and name a whole bunch of bands that are all women, or maybe just female fronted, or maybe just the bass player is a woman, or the drummer, or the whatever. Very lucky to live in a city where there's a whole bunch of women playing all different genres and doing really well. I mean, you can look at the Jackie Vincents of Austin that are taking off. They're, or Sabrina from Sweet Spirit and Giant Dog. I mean, there are women that are just going for it. So
and they're all like super talented. They're,
Yeah,
like,
they
super
are.
good.
It's-
They're,
it's
like,
awesome.
Amazing.
I respect all that.
Yeah, it's definitely mesmerizing to watch. I mean, it's just like they're good. And then, like you said, I mean, the whole like men don't think. I mean, it's true because when we see somebody play, and especially just are good as talented as they are, you're mesmerized by the whole thing. If me seeing James play the same thing over and over, I'm like, whatever. Like I've seen that before. So that's pretty cool. Now, so you used to play, and I guess I don't know if this is the band that you had to touch with Riot Witch. Is that a personal project, or is that the old band?
So what happened was I was in a band called Switch Joint, and that fell apart, and I wanted to keep playing. And because I wrote all the songs, like I wanted to keep doing my thing. So I found some people, and we did Riot Witch for a little while, and I really felt like we had something going, and of course it fell apart. I mean, it's just life, life happens, and that's when I was like, man, I give up. It's like so hard, It's like I have a lot of respect for those bands like Worm Suicide or something that just keep plowing through and making it happen, and I have so much respect for that because it's hard. It's really hard. And like Michelle was saying, like we don't practice all the time, and we don't take on 2 shows a week or something, we can't handle. We make it work. And so, I was bummed. Like I really missed playing music with other people. I mean, you could sit at home and play your guitar all night long or play drums or whatever, but I really missed playing with people. I've always wanted to be in a band. I don't, it's not the Amanda show, it's the Lechuza show. Like we are a band, and I like that. And so, I was bummed when Riot Witch fell apart, but I still had made that little CD that I made as Riot Witch, which was, I guess me. And so that those are my songs, and I wrote them, and then, Lechuza came along, and yeah, it's the greatest.
So the name Lechuza, I did a little bit of research, and by the way, researching y'all is slim pickings. I mean, it is. So this is a chance. So if you have anything that you just want, for your fans to know about your band, now would be the time. If just throughout, as if something comes up, let us know. But Lechuza is, and I didn't know this. I was like, oh, that is interesting. Lechuza is actually it's almost like a chupacabra kind of thing going on there. Lechuza, so it's what is it? It's a disgruntled spirit of a woman that turns into an owl. Is that correct?
Yes.
And haunts.
Yeah.
Is that common knowledge, or is it common? It's common knowledge, right?
For I think a lot of Texans and also Spanish speakers, because I have some friends from Guatemala, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Lechuza, I grew up like with my grandma saying, you go out there and scare that owl away right now." Like they were
for real.
terrified of owls. I mean, owls are powerful, and a lot of Native Americans, have had them in their mythology and their legends and their stories, and I think it's just all over wherever there's owls. I mean, they're cool. They're just amazing birds, and so it's mythology, and it's. I mean, it can be, like it sounds bad, like these revengeful women that show up in the shape of an owl, but it's fascinating to me that people that believe it, and so how I was at a bar one time, and the door was open. It was a nice night, and there was an owl, making its little sound outside, and the guy at the bar was like, "Was that an owl?" And we're like, "Yeah." And I gotta go. And he's terrified. And I was like, "I don't understand. It's an owl." And then he told me the story of Lechuza, which I didn't know. I didn't grow up in Texas. And so I was fascinated. I was like, wow, I mean, owls have always been cool. And they can just kind of suck you in. Like they're just intense birds. And so I was fascinated. This guy was terrified. He left the bar. He was like, "I can't handle this. It's coming to get me. It's going to kill me." And it's like, wow, that was amazing. What? So yeah, the name always stuck in my head, like, oh, Lechuza, and so it just worked out as our.
Yeah, that's very good. I remember my grandma used to say, like, when it was kind of like getting dark, it'd be like, "Hey, come inside," and I'd be like, "No," and she'd be like, "Lechuza's gonna get you."
Right?
And be like,
Yeah.
So it's like they started running inside. Yeah,
Right.
I remember that story very well,
Yeah.
just because my grandma used to tell me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man, it was terrifying.
Right?
And,
Yeah, it's crazy. People are so scared.
And then I actually saw like a real picture of like an owl, and I was like, wait a minute, it's not a scary thing at all.
Right?
So,
No, I think owls are very cool. I have a lot of respect for them. There's some that live in the trees behind our house, and when I can hear them,
cool.
it's pretty cool.
It's a great name. It's a great name.
I used to be a cable guy, and my nickname was Chupacable.
Ah,
Cowboy.
Just throwing that out there.
I like it. I like it.
That's very cool. So I gotta ask you, you all had a video that just it just barely came out, or I guess it came out right about the city time and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we made a video in January for.
Yeah. So whose car is that?
Oh, that's mine.
That's a car. Okay, I was gonna say sweet car. And,
Thanks.
and I was watching the video, and like I was watching you all like move around, but at the same time I was like paying more attention to the car.
The car is awesome.
And I was just like the focus on it, and I know you're the kick drum was like right on top, and I'm like, please don't scratch it. I'm like, don't scratch the car. I'm like,
No, the car was unharmed during the shoot.
Good. That's cool. So who came up with the idea with the video shoot?
Well, it was me when I wrote the song. I mean, it's about heartbreak, but it's supposed to be, very gritty, a very dirty kind of song. And so I had this idea, and I just kind of sprang it on them. I was like, "Hey, we're shooting a video."
Yeah,
like,
we're
"What?"
here practicing,
Like, just rolled out of bed.
Roll out of bed.
Yep, let's go.
Midday, and she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna do a video as soon as we're done practicing." We're like, "What?"
Yes.
Okay.
That's good because at least you didn't have a chance to say no. So it was
That's
kinda
right.
Like, there you
That's
go,
right.
done.
Totally
I gave
fine.
him no chance.
Okay.
And she like came back and be like, makeup, let's do it now. And so
No,
let's
we didn't even
So-
do that. It's like sprung right out of bed.
Yeah, let's
I think,
do it.
I think I was wearing like an LA Guns shirt. I mean, like seriously, LA Guns? Like really?
Perfect.
Sounds
Perfect.
Well, that's awesome. But yeah, because that's for the Hell Heartbreak City. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because I remember seeing it and I remember listening to it, and I was just like, I had it in my truck listening for kind of loud, and it kept saying Heartbreak City, and I was looking around, I was like, man, I hope nobody's watching. They'd be like, he's really depressed right now.
Really
It's like-
depressed.
it's like,
Sad day.
no, that's cool. So I got to ask you about the drums, mainly because I do like playing drums a lot. You put a lot of heart into it, like you can see it, like you hit them really hard and you put a lot of stuff. Like what is it that brought you out, like whenever they're playing? Because I can see like Michelle doing her thing, I can see Amanda doing her thing, but then when I see you, you're like moving around, hair's all over the place and all that. Like what's the inspiration behind like playing just like that?
I try to connect with the music and put my own emotions from my own experiences when I play. So I just kind of relive different stories that have happened to me in my life and just kind of put those emotions into while I'm playing the songs.
Yeah, because I mean that's one of the reasons why I started playing, because it was like I wanted to hit something, and drums was like the best thing to do.
It's
I was
therapy.
able to convince my family to buy one. So, and you can see it because it was one of those things. It's like, I mean, you feel it when you actually play it. It's like, oh my god, like she's literally rocking out with that thing.
Yeah, the on stage and off stage are like two completely different things.
With this
She's
one,
a little
yes.
angel.
With this, yes.
Little angel.
Yes,
the
yeah.
the dual
Like, get her
personality.
behind the kid.
I know. Animal.
Yeah.
Animal shows up when you put her behind the kid.
But it's totally understandable, because that's one thing that I always say. It's like, if you put me in a microphone talking in front of a million people, I panic. You put me behind a drum set or behind a guitar, totally easy. No big deal. It's like a dinner work. But you give me a microphone, I have to give a speech. Yeah, I turn, I melt. That's just pretty much it goes.
Since when, dude?
Ever. I just hide
This
it very
guy's
well.
diarrhea of the mouth. I don't know what he's talking about.
Nah, it's cool. So, the bass. Something that fascinates me about the bass is that you don't have a pick in your hand.
Yeah, my husband tells me every time before I leave for practice or show, he's like, "Don't forget your pick," because
You don't play well.
I don't play with one. But
I know.
I'm like, it's gonna be hard to leave
that's
my
why I ask you,
fingers.
because I'm sure you hear it all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
where's the pick?
Yeah, I get that, and I think one of my friends was watching me play like a few weeks ago, and he's like, all I could do was stare at your right hand, because I play with my fingers, but I play very fast and aggressively for a finger player.
Yeah.
I got my first bass when I was 11 because I wanted to be a drummer. And my parents said, pick something with a volume knob. And so I was like, okay, well, what's the next best thing, to drums? Well, bass is the next rhythm instrument. So I chose bass, and I think I was about 11 years old. I said I'd choose bass, and I think my dad went into the classifieds of the time and whatever paper it was, and he found me like some $30 guitar and like PV micro bass amp combo for like $30, and just picked me up. It was like a copy of a Fender Precision. It wasn't even it was like made in Korea or something. And gave that to me and figured, okay, well, if she sticks with it, then she'll get better equipment eventually, but we'll give her this to start out. And, so I'm like 11 years old. I don't know the difference or this or that. And so I started looking at bass players, and I started looking towards like learning how to play different little runs on the bass and stuff like that. So I looked a lot towards like blues players and jazz, and they're playing with their fingers. So I'm like, oh, well, bass is supposed to be playing with their fingers. I have never picked up a pick to a bass. I don't know that I could play a bass with a pick. I've never even tried. Now guitar, yeah, I'll pick a guitar, but a bass, I don't even know how.
So you're like a punk unicorn right now.
Yeah, so so I just started learning, from just little like blues licks and whatever, and would just get little bass books and just sit in my bedroom and play, and then I started going, okay, well now I know how to play, and now I'm going to play with my friends. We're all listening to punk rock. So, I started out by learning how to walk on the bass and playing with my hand, and now I'm playing punk rock. So the difference is I had to learn how to run. So I went from walking on the bass to running on the bass, and I've just, that's the way I've always been, because I just thought, hey, bass players play with their fingers.
And it's amazing to watch you play, because you are running with your fingers. It's just like, wow, like she's going super fast on it. When normally, like, you can see guys like playing, and you can tell they're hitting the pick, and it's like, okay, you get the same sound with the pick, but then when you hit the fingers, I mean, you have to be so precise about how strong and how do you hit it, and make sure you're not bending anything. It's just like, yeah, it's pretty impressive with what you do.
You have total control over it too when you're, because it's a lot more organic. It seems like.
it does. I like to be able to feel the strings. That's the other thing too. When you're playing with your fingers, you can feel the strings below your hands. When you're playing with the pick, you're not feeling the strings.
Oh.
And what kind of a bass are you playing now?
Oh, Rickenbacker. I am a Rickenbacker through and through.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I was like, I bet it's a Rickenbacker. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Of course it has to be.
Yeah, I got my first Rick in the 90s, and I've had a few over the years. And there was a time period in my life where I had to sell the one Rickenbacker that I had left that I loved. And I had switched to different basses and tried different basses during the time that were so expensive, and that lasted about 2 years. And I'm like, okay, I just got to save up and get another Rickenbacker again. So I Rickenbacker through and through. My backup, well, now I have 2 Rickenbackers, but so yeah, things are better in life now. But my backup to a Rickenbacker is usually like a Thunderbird, just because it's big and heavy. It's really funny. I really like big, heavy boat anchor basses. I'm just more comfortable.
That's pretty cool. And what about the drums? Like, what equipment do you have in the drums?
Well, I just kind of have a combination kit right now. Ideally, I want a 1970s Ludwig with I love Zildjian cymbals, so that's my ideal kit. One day.
I actually just started playing with Wuhan cymbals, and I'm in love with those things. They're like hand hammered, super strong things. It's like, check them out. They're pretty cool.
Okay.
And then, what about the guitar? What kind of guitar do we have?
I have an Epiphone SG. My whole life I've played cheap, crappy guitars because that's what I just make a racket on them. I don't need something nice and fancy. But this was a gift from a dear friend of mine. And so it's the nicest guitar I've ever had, and I'm still just tearing it up like the $50 one I had before. So that's what I do.
That's the only way to play, yeah?
Just make noise.
That's awesome. Cool. So what's in the future for Lechuza? What are you? I mean, I know you'll got some shows coming up, but what do we got going on? We have any tours or any more albums coming up?
No tours.
We want more music videos.
Yeah. We're going to work on another music video soon, and we've got new songs we're working on, and just keep playing shows, just having a good time.
Alrighty. So we're going to take a quick pause right now to reset real quick, and then we're going to come back with James and his rapid fires questions.
All right, here we go. Rapid fire. Are you ready for rapid fire?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So Sarah's going to be the spokesperson for rapid fire today. This is going to be 5 questions, and you just kind of whatever comes off the top of your head, answer them as quickly as you possibly can.
If anybody wants to help, you're more than welcome to.
You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, and if somebody else knows the answer, y'all can shake. You look really nervous. It's not like that.
I always look nervous.
Okay, you ready?
Let's do it.
Question number 1. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
That is correct. Question number 2. Combat boots or sneakers?
Bare feet.
Bare feet, we'll take it. Long walks on the beach, yes or no?
Is there pina coladas? Then yes.
Good, I like it.
That's the answer. All right, go ahead. This is rapid fire. Touring, love it or hate it?
I would love it.
Excellent. Last question. What song do you play when someone breaks a string?
Oh, that's a very drum thing to say.
I've broken strings, I've broken guitars, we've broken bass drums, we've broken everything. We just keep playing. We just do it. It's what we do. We
Stay on the
wreck
train
shit.
the best we can.
Just stay on the train. Just keep going.
So
and whatever.
let's go. We'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll take it. Excellent. Nicely
All of
done.
them.
Nicely done.
Awesome. So where can anybody find Lechuza?
Let's see. You can find us online. Lechuza 8TX on the Instagram, and I think it's the same on the Facebook. You can come out to our shows. We're playing Taylor, Texas on the 14th at Black Sparrow, on the 18th here in Austin at ABGB. Please come out, buy a CD, and listen to us on Spotify.
or any other streaming service, really.
Any
I
other
think we're
ones we
on
get?
them all.
Ah, cool. Awesome. We'll make sure to plug in the new video whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to put it out.
Awesome.
Awesome. So if you want to also get in touch with them, you can reach them at lechuzatx@yahoo.com. So that's lechuzatx@yahoo.com. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
That's
I got
great.
one last question.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Are you recording anything for 2020? You gonna put something out like later on this year?
That is
Are
a
you
great
working on
goal.
any-
It's a possibility. Yeah, I think
Yeah?
we could probably pull it off by the end of the year. Yeah,
Cool.
I think so.
Are you going to be doing any out of town stuff? Are you going to go on tour at all? Mini tour?
No touring. I think Taylor's is about as far as we're gonna make it.
Right?
Yeah, I
Maybe
think,
San Antonio. That would be cool. If we could.
I think we're actually playing Taylor too in April. So we might be playing the same show together. I don't know. Oh, cool. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for listening
thank you
to
very
Revive
much.
the Scene to E&J. My name is Ernesto,
My name is James.
and thank you all for listening.
1, 2, 3, 4.